It's all about peace, spreading love in the world. So I gotta represent rebels for joy, positivity. You know that we're all about it. Magic happens when you align your purpose, passion, and power. Just believe in your greatness. I know for sure the light that you radiate too strong to ignore. Emotional revolution. It's time that we start. Love, we need more. We are rebels for joy. Woo!
Hey, sister, welcome back to another episode of Rebels for Joy, where we are aligning your purpose, passion, and power, all fueled by joy. I am one of your hosts, Bonnie Kelly, and I'm here with my girl, JB. What's up, girl?
Hi, I'm Jillian Bolans. It's so good to be here, and we are on the same page and wavelength this morning, Ms. Bonnie Kelly. Holy guacamole.
Yeah, talk about an energetic surge.
Yeah.
I don't know what else to call it, right? It's like if you touched either one of us right now, I feel like we would probably electrocute you.
100%. Absolutely, that would happen. And so we were just laughing before we started, before we push record. A big thing, and it's going to be our topic of conversation today because it's just needs to be. A big thing, when I woke up this morning, I was asking myself, am I actually willing to receive this week? Because there's so much that comes with cyclicality. And then you had a post on social media that was all about receiving. It was amazing.
Yeah. And we didn't even talk. It was like 5 a.m. California time. So of course,
and
Jillian
this
has
is a
been up
Monday
forever.
that we're recording it.
Yeah.
So we didn't even talk. Well, we talked a little bit yesterday. We don't go more than 6 hours without talking. But it's not like we've been jamming on what we want to talk about today.
Yeah, but it just feels like that time where we need to remind ourselves, as well as we need to remind our rebels of the importance of receiving, and where we both block ourselves, but where we also go down this rabbit hole of just not fully comprehending how to receive.
Yes.
So, but before we get in that, I feel like we need to have a little fun.
I've got a joke for you.
I figured you did.
I came prepared. Okay. What did the duck say when she bought a lipstick?
I don't know. I'm thinking quack, but no, that's not it.
She said, put it on my bill.
Oh, gosh.
It's so
that's great.
Disgustingly corny and
It was
amazing.
so
I love it.
Hopefully you guys could share that with your kid, right? I think I'm going to end up having to say that one to my niece later today.
Yes.
Just because, but she knew a lot more of these jokes. I was reading off some of them to her of the ones that we've done in past episodes. And she's answering them. And she knew, I was like, how, what? I think I'm funny and she's funnier than me, but it's okay.
At least the next generation will be hilarious.
Yes, no kidding. But fun is necessary, you guys. And one of the most powerful ways to receive joy is to create laughter, no matter how cheesy or corny or ridiculous it is. So you're welcome.
Well, Bonnie, perfect example. So we just got off a call with our Rebels University girls. And so our 12-month program is life-altering and amazing and fabulous and all the things, but it has a combination of modules and learning and homework as well as coaching calls.
Yeah.
And so we were on a call with our women today, and we invited everybody to stand in superwoman power pose and then dance and laugh and just be excited. We invited them into excitement. And what we found was that having that fun, right? Because you hop on a coaching call and oftentimes you expect to sit there with your journal and you're going to learn something great and it's going to be wonderful. But not very often are you asked to get up and do a dance party.
Yeah.
But what ended up happening was that we were able to break through with the next woman that we were speaking to in coaching so much deeper and so much quicker into what the core of her problem was in that moment, because we had fun. We can get there the hard way. We can take the hammer and chisel and we can go through all the depths of stuff, but sometimes you just got to have fun.
Yeah.
And that fun will allow you to participate in the energetic exchange of giving what's on your heart and then receiving the answer.
Yes. Yeah. And that's the trick, is a lot of times we are too quick with the I don't know, or the shrinking, the dismissing, the diminishing of our successes, our triumphs, our things that we need to celebrate. And that was really what the purpose of this stand and celebrate and just, get overly excited, over accentuate. Is that, I don't know if I said that word right.
Yeah, you did. You said that word and another word. I'll come up with it. But
Yeah.
but they were really well crafted, and it was just like that eccentric. That's what it was.
Eccentric.
Like being that eccentric, that outwardly, that like just super silly version of you. Because when we allow ourselves to go there, we just drop all the drama and we drop all the baggage that's felt so heavy and oftentimes isn't ours to begin with.
Yeah. So if you're listening to this, I know in my heart that you've heard that to receive means you have to believe, right? Believing is what allows receiving. Well, with this is that to receive, we want to get into the subtleties. It's like a subtle art of receiving, meaning that it really isn't necessarily all the big things that we do that allow us to receive these great things. It's a lot of the little things that we do. Yes. So on this call today, one of our students was, we're asking, what are you excited about this week? And that's, of course, where all this excitement came from. And she's like, well, no, I'm not really excited about anything, but, and then she shared this really big win.
Amazing thing. Yes.
Amazing.
And we love this student so much. She is just always such a willing and able learner. And she, oh my gosh, I just got to interject that. Like, I just adore her. And as we do all our students, but I loved how she presented, and then we got to help her even work through how much words matter with that.
Yeah. And that was really the trick right there, is that what we, as her coach, we're reading through all of these we're sharing with the group all the different excitements that are coming through the chat box. And then that one, we just like pause, right? We hit the pause button, because how often do you as the listener, do we as your teachers will dismiss something that is truly requires celebration, for whatever reason? Maybe it's because it wasn't that hard for us, or maybe it was it's not that big of a deal to us, or maybe it's that we're afraid of making other people feel insecure, or maybe we don't want to look boastful or bragging. And so we constantly
society tells us, don't brag, don't do that, that's not good. And it's like, no, dude, right? Get out there and brag about how amazing you are.
So we're shrinking. We shrink. Right? We shrink our lights, and then we become so accustomed to it that we're not even aware we're doing it. And it's in those little things, in those little ways of where we're just like, well, there's nothing really I'm excited about, that will continue to push the big things that you want to receive away from you.
Yeah.
Away from you. And so this is where it's like a subtle art, right? It's a subtle art of receiving, requires us to truly tune in to what is it that you're not only believing, but what are you saying about what you believe? What are you saying about what you want to receive? What are you saying about the situation that you're in? And does that story perpetuate what you actually want to receive, or is it perpetuating what you already have received?
So good. Yeah, mind blown. So good. I just love thinking about receiving and Bonnie, you've heard me say this a million times, and I'm obsessed with cyclicality, right? So we are taught that, giving is better than receiving, and you should always be in this giving mode, and so receiving is bad, right? And so good things come in small packages. So be happy with what you have. Don't expect any more, right? Like, and they're fine sentiments for, I think, that higher kind of surface level way of being. But when we sink down into it, cyclicality requires the full spectrum of both being willing to give and then receive. Because if we are not willing to receive, then we're truly not giving from that full cup. And we're not giving to the maximum capacity, because eventually we're going to run out of opportunity, of energy, of things, of whatever it is to give. We simply won't have it anymore. So, and this goes into divine feminine and divine masculine in a big way. It goes into the moon, it goes into the female cycle, it goes into all things, cyclicality, allowing things to come full circle. So the divine masculine wants to provide. He wants to be the giver. And I'm using he just to go with the subject of masculinity. We all have masculinity and femininity within us. But when I'm using masculine, I'm going to say he. When I'm using feminine, I'll say she. the divine masculine wants to give. He wants to set the goal, go out, slay the saber-toothed tiger, drag it back to the cave, and give it to be the provider for the family. The divine feminine, when she is in her essence, she is creative. She is inspired. She looks at the saber-toothed tiger and thinks, oh my goodness, what could I turn this into to support my family, to nourish my tribe? And so in order for her to do that at all, she needs to be willing to receive the saber-toothed tiger so that she can create. It's such a beautiful juxtaposition when we're thinking about receiving as just being a part of the cycle. Receiving is not bad. We give anything the charge of good or bad. And for some reason, generations and generations ago, someone decided that only giving was the good thing. They forgot about the other half of the cycle.
Yes.
And so today, my premise has been, are you willing to receive? Are you willing to receive the amount of love that you want to put into the world? Are you willing to receive the amount of abundance, whether it's in the form of money, of opportunity, of experiences? Are you actually willing to receive those? Or do you think that you need to be in push, 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 force, 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 give, give, give mode and hope that something will come to you? There's a big difference between I want it, I want it, I want it, and kind of pushing it away, and also then just opening up your palms and being ready to receive it. Huge energy difference. And again, to Bonnie's point, it's a subtle art, because it can be a very fine line when you're thinking about, I want that thing, but if I'm not willing to actually give it to myself, then I'm pushing it away, as opposed to saying, you know what? I do give, and I am worthy of receiving, because it refills my cup. It reinforces the good of the full cycle.
Yeah. And if you're struggle with people pleasing, then first off, go check out one of our previous episodes on people pleasing, because it is one of the big joy thieves that we often talk about. But this is where we want to break those traditional, those customary cycling mentalities that we've received. Okay. That we've got these concepts or these ideas that when we receive that we have to be very gracious, and we have to not really celebrate. We don't brag, we don't boast. And what happens is that we've learned that, but when we give something, we expect them to celebrate, to be excited about, to be joyous of. But yet when we receive, we don't allow us the same as what we desire from others that we give to.
Such a good point.
So we want to really recognize that when we're receiving, that we do want to sink into this energy of joy and fun and excitement and celebration. And this is even receiving at the expense of but receiving after your labors. Right? To really feel joyous if you've been working really hard and all of a sudden you got a really big break, or you've got this new opportunity, or you got this new gig, or you got a publicist, or you got, a new client, whatever it is, to allow yourself to receive that within joy.
Yes.
Within joy. And this goes as subtly as receiving kind words about maybe this amazing outfit that you're wearing today, instead of saying, oh, this old thing. Or somebody recognizing that you've maybe lost some weight, and you're like, oh, it's nothing. Or that you're doing really well, your hair looks fabulous. That we want to receive that and say, thank you. I received that. I appreciate you for acknowledging that or seeing that. Yeah. Thank you. End of sentence.
It makes perfect sense. And there's a huge part to receiving that nobody really talks about. And it's that if we are not willing to participate in receiving, then we won't let ourselves have what was meant for us in the experience. So let's use coaching, for example, right? So if you are a coach and you receive money for providing the coaching service to a client, if you don't allow yourself, first of all, if you don't charge what you're worth, what your time is worth, what the depth that you go to is worth, then the equality of the giving and the receiving cyclicality is going to be off. So if you are charging, if you're way undercharging yourself and you're giving all of this amazing experience to a client, you won't allow yourself to receive that money with grace and with joy. You'll actually receive it with a chip on your shoulder, or you'll receive it with the, oh yeah, and now I have to go give so much more than the value of this money. Same thing for the client. If the client, say they're having this amazing coaching opportunity with somebody and they're only being charged $1 for it, right? Like that, I mean, let's just use like the extreme, but they like have this coach at their beck and call and they just get so much value. And if the client is only paying $1 for the amount of time and energy and wisdom that is being bestowed upon them, they actually will somehow self-sabotage, or they'll halt themselves. They won't allow themselves to receive the wisdom and the transformation that they so want. This is true for any area of life, but it's particularly important that we talk about this. Yes, we look at money as a tool to pay for something, but what we don't look at it as is an opportunity to allow ourselves to receive. Because if we are not paying in and getting equally back in terms of value, energy, whatever it is, then we won't allow ourselves to show up and receive it. And you can think of that for anything, right? Like if you paid X amount of dollars for a purse and it was way too much money for the purse, you're never going to use it out of fear of ruining it. And so the purse is going to sit there and not do its job. You're not going to be able to receive the opportunity that the purse has for you to hold your things. So it's this reciprocity, got it, that it's not just about what you're giving. Is what you're giving going to allow for you to receive the equal opportunity, value, connection, whatever it is, it's going to balance it all out and bring the event full cycle for you.
Yeah. You know, and I think there's an important piece of this as well. When we're talking about receiving energy, like money is energy, right? Is that when you're not charging your worth, people who are standing in their worth aren't going to be willing to pay you.
Right.
So here's an example. So we've been interviewing some people for us to hire to our team. And we were getting prices and everybody was around the same. You know, there were a range of different prices, some to like, holy moly macaroni, that's a ridiculous amount of money, to like, okay, that's fair and reasonable, to like, that's okay. That's a little pushing me a little bit, but I can see the value in that.
Yeah.
And I remember talking to this one woman and her prices were literally below half of the minimum of every other person we had talked to.
Yeah.
And I immediately just stopped in my tracks and said, sister, let's talk about this. WTF. And she said, she's like, well, I don't have to. And we ended up in this conversation. Now, mind you, I was interviewing her to hire her. And then we end up as sisters coming together and talking about receiving, you know, what she's worth and her need to increase her prices. And it was like a beautiful, amazing, so powerful, two, you know, business owners coming together saying like, let's stand in your value, at least get to this point where you're close to these other people. And it was electric. It was so powerful. And yet at the end of the day, we wouldn't hire her because if she doesn't know her worth and standing in it, how is she ever going to manage the evolution of ours?
Yes. Oh, so
right?
good.
And if we are talking about taking our Rebels for Joy international, we absolutely need every single person on our team to be able to hold the receiving vibration of something so big that they have to be willing to receive in their own area to allow for that vibration. And so she wasn't able to make the team, but we did form an amazing friendship as a result of it. Yeah. So as we're saying this, you know, if you're in business, especially, this is probably a key nugget for you, is that it's not only for yourself of why it's so important for you to receive value, worth, and not undermining yourself and shortchanging yourself, and then convincing yourself that it's justified of why you are charging less, and you don't want to be, and you're shaming, and you're talking bad about other people who charge more. is to allow yourself to really feel comfortable with receiving that level of wealth, so that you can continue to be a part of this worthy vibration that we're bringing to the table.
And you just said it, Bonnie. I was going to wrap that all up with a pretty little bow that basically reminds you, our rebel sister, you are worthy of receiving. You were born innately worthy of receiving. You were not put on this planet to simply give of your heart and your soul constantly and not allow yourself to receive. And this shows up in every area of life, whether it's compliments, whether it's money, whether it's love. It does not matter. The energy of giving and receiving is the same. And so if we can kind of sum this up for you, it's looking at the giving and receiving process as cyclicality, as the opportunity to bring to fruition everything that it is you are meant to experience and have fun participating with the world in.
And the last piece I want to add to this as well is that part of that, as you're opening yourself and your mind and your heart to receiving, is that sometimes the universe is going to require you to let go in order to receive more. So if a part of this receiving prayer that you're standing into right now is an elevation or evolutionary version of you that's bigger than where we are now, know that sometimes for us to receive that means loss of something, clients, money, situations, belief systems. And it's in that loss we could feel pain. But an open receiving mind knows that these are the synergy of this, is that we have to let go to make room for more so that we can receive these greater things. Right. So trust the process is how I want to really end that, right? Is really just trust the process as you're flowing.
Absolutely right. Rebel Sister, we love you so much. Just a reminder at this point that we have officially announced that we are going to be in California at the end of May. We've got Rebels for Joy Live coming, and oh boy, talk about cyclicality. We're bringing it there, and we hope you will allow yourself to receive this opportunity. It is going to be transformational, life-changing, mind-blowing, all of the explosive, amazing words you can think of. And so remember, mark your calendar, Friday, May 29th and Saturday, May 30th, we'll be in Rockland, California. And we just cannot wait. Links to everything are in the show notes. Go to rebelsforjoy.com. And honey, it's time to join the movement by getting in the room with other women who are ready to give and receive on this next level of being that you are so ready for.
Yeah, absolutely, guys. So check us out, rebelsforjoy.com. You can connect with us. All the notes on show notes are below. And it's just been such an honor to be here and receiving your listen. So don't forget to subscribe, be a part of the movement, join us. Your voice matters. We see you, sister. We love you, sister. And thank you for being a part of the revolution.
Bye.